In this video, I'll give you the quarterbacks and running backs who will fall off in 2024 fantasy redraft leagues. I'm Jim Coventry of Rotowire. Look, Baker Mayfield was a great story last year. He was always rostered as my third quarterback in Superflex leagues. Again, story was great, but now we got to look at this year. Mayfield had a very good coaching situation last year with Dave Canales. Canales did exactly what Mayfield was strong at, throwing downfield. They got good tackle protection, gave Mayfield just enough time to let those plays develop. Well, all of a sudden now we're in a new situation. And I know Liam Cohen did coach with Mayfield for a short time when Mayfield had that stint with the Rams. But all that said, Mayfield has had a very, very up and down career. He has not held any level of consistency for any time. Mayfield had a career year last year. Again, it was beautiful. Career highs in yardage, completion percentage, touchdowns. The switch to Cohen, there are a lot of anticipatory throws that need to be made. It's not grip it and rip it like it was last year, which really worked well. I don't know that Mayfield, when pressure comes, especially from the interior line is not quite as strong as the tackles. Those anticipatory throws may be problematic if Mayfield gets a little bit skittish. Now, fortunately, as Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, which will certainly help. But all that said, counting on Mayfield to put together another year that rivals last year, and the fantasy numbers weren't elite, certainly. They were good. A lot of quarterbacks were hurt last year, so his season ranking was higher than it probably should have been. But I think betting on Mayfield to do it again is a very, very difficult draw, especially, again, when we're looking at an offense, as I said, that requires anticipatory throws. Geno Smith is next. Geno Smith, look, most of his career didn't have much going on, and then Shane Waldron coached him a couple of years, and 2 years ago, we had a career year. Last year was a significant drop up, but still a good enough fantasy year. Now, the offensive line was hurt last year for the Seahawks. I get that. But Geno Smith has proven a lot in his long career. I mean, 8 years, he did literally nothing at the NFL level. Even in his first couple of years, it was way more interceptions than touchdowns. So all that said now, another coaching change. And we like the idea that they're going to have a spread system now. Might work, but I'm very concerned. When you have a college coach move to the NFL, we've seen very few success stories. Jimmy Johnson, a few others, very few. 1 year of Chip Kelly. I can't even give Jim Harbaugh that credit because he was an NFL player, and a lot of what the coaches have to do coming from the college level. So Ryan Grubb now is going to have to make in-game adjustments. Well, in college, he didn't have to do that. His system was either already going to beat the opponent, the talent on the offense was going to beat the opponent. They never had to make a change. And in the NFL, starting in week 1, you're going to have to make big changes because the coaching staff and the talent level in the NFL on defense is way different. Geno Smith is in this situation, a new offense, not having Waldron. It might start out a little bit well. They catch the league off guard, but once the league makes adjustments to what Ryan Grubb wants to do with the offense, I'm very concerned. I mean, we saw Geno Smith last year go from 252 yards a game in 2022, lost a full 10 yards. It doesn't sound like much, but 10 yards is a big deal. Goes from 30 touchdowns to 20. Look, we like the receiving options. We like DK Metcalf, and maybe he can get more in a new offense. We love Jackson Smith and Jigba, drafted in the first round last year. Again, skillful player. Maybe something happens to him. Tyler Lockett, the numbers were decent, but he showed decline last year, and he'll be 32 this year. It's going to be very hard to buy into Geno Smith having a season like he did 2 years ago. Just don't see it happening. Geno Smith has a long track record. Not betting on him hitting the top 20 quarterbacks. If you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the Rotowire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, you can check out all of our fantasy football content and rankings by getting a free 2-day trial. No credit card needed. You just head on over to rotowire.com/Jim and you can check out all of our content. All right, let's give you some running backs here. Kyren Williams going inside the top 10 running backs in fantasy drafts, and we loved what he did last year. Almost 100 scrimmage yards per game. Insane. 12 touchdowns in 12 games. What's not to like? I still have to think Sean McVay is always 2 steps ahead of the league. And last year, McVay had it figured out. And what the Rams did, they were already understanding that defenses were going to use lighter boxes. They were going to shoot gaps. They were going to slow down outside zone run plays. And the Rams went with a heavy dose of what we call duo or downhill running. And it was perfect because defenses couldn't engage. And Kyren Williams, who had struggles in his time on the field as a rookie, there were no struggles at all last year. We have to think, though, Kyren Williams missed 7 games as a rookie, missed 5 last year. He also broke his hand in the NFC playoff game. Of course, he didn't miss time because their season was over, but that was another injury to add to the list, and that could be a problem. Last year when the season started, Kyren Williams was in a timeshare with Cam Akers until Cam Akers just did what Cam Akers does. But that said, Blake Corum got drafted, and drafted with a significant draft pick. There's a strong world where Blake Corum is a significantly better athlete player than Kyren Williams is. At that point, what does McVay do? I've got an injury-plagued running back who I have to limit his work. I've got this young rookie in Corum who we spent draft capital in, who may be very talented. How is it not a timeshare? And if Corum is significantly better, could he push Kyren Williams all the way into the background and make Kyren Williams maybe a 30 or 40% player? All these possibilities are realistic. May not happen. It's football, right? But there's a lot working against Kyren Williams here, aside from the great production he had when he was on the field last year. I just don't see any world where if you're drafting him as a top 10 running back, there's a lot of red flags. And in that part of the draft, I want as few red flags as possible. Just too many with Kyren Williams. Now, the next one is going to be difficult. It's Alvin Kamara. For fantasy, he was wonderful last year. 13 games, only 13 games. 1,160 scrimmage yards, 6 touchdowns, caught 75 passes. He was a fantasy football stud last year. Now, the decline was what the coaches saw. Broken tackle rate, used to be elite, 15th percentile near the bottom. After contact, 27th percentile. Again, not good. All right, maybe as a receiver he gets done. He's Alvin Kamara. Nope, 24th percentile. These are numbers that don't factor in offensive line play and things like that. These are numbers that tell us what a running back is. Kamara's another year older. He'll be 29. Had a lot of usage in his career. The offensive line's bad. Now, it's possible Kendre Miller, look, in hamstring injuries, Jamal Williams, probably close to washed. They have some guys in the depth chart maybe fighting for work. Is it possible Kamara just gets enough volume just to compile? It's possible. If anybody on that depth chart at any point emerges into something viable, the fact that Kamara can't break tackles or get yards after contact anymore, it's going to cut down on his workload. So if you're betting on Kamara, you'd better hope that everybody else in the backfield is terrible, because again, with another year of decline, it is not getting better.